Now on CoastTV News.
A mild and muggy Monday for Delmarva, then the showers and storms return on Tuesday, followed by warmth and hot conditions by the end of the week. I'll track the storms and heat coming up next.
Chaos in California, with the National Guard deployed after violent protests against illegal migrant arrest. We have reaction from here on Delmarva.
Salary saga. Rehoboth Beach commissioners consider a pay increase for its city manager after months of controversy on his salary.
Waterside wreck. What had responders concerned when they arrived at this scene last night in Millsboro?
This is CoastTV News Today.
Welcome to our 6 o'clock hour. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. It is Monday, June 9th, 2025.
If there was ever a cliche for Monday weather, I
Yes.
think we have it right here, folks. Rain overnight,
Yeah.
fog, we have school delays.
And
What
we're
else do you
coming off
want?
of a gloomy weekend, too.
Oh, yeah.
Sunday was really gloomy.
Saturday, I guess the
Saturday
afternoon.
was on and off.
My time at the beach, I had to cut my beach stay short because
I
of
am
rain.
so sorry.
And
That is
devastating.
That is unacceptable. Are you okay? Recovering still?
Bob, you're might have
Yeah.
to help me get through this
Come
morning
on,
because
Bob.
of my
For
beach
natural
experience.
being, we need the sun.
I did warn you that
You
the
did.
weekend was going to be unsettled, and it certainly was. We had the storms a few hours ago. Now it's the fog. Only a quarter-mile visibility in Ocean City right now in the fog, so really take it slow out there. 3/4 of a mile for Salisbury and Georgetown, and 3/4 of a mile for Easton. 2 miles in Cambridge. You can see this is a pretty big swath of fog through much of Delmarva, so really take it slow. Delayed travel by a couple of hours if you can. We had those showers and storms a few hours ago. It was wet and a little noisy, but now those are gone. Otherwise, we're looking at the fog right now, and I think we do dry it out a little bit as we go through the day. Still a few showers up near the Philly area, but all in all, we're starting to dry things out. We do have a weak area of low pressure moving through. That's not going to give us more rain. It might just keep the clouds in a little tighter today. We're looking at temperatures into the mid-60s now, 66 Millsboro and Dagsboro, Willard 67, 65 in Bethany Beach, Rehoboth 64, and it's that air you can wear. It's very muggy outside. There is an easterly breeze right now, maybe a little stronger at the beaches, and that breeze kept us chilly or cooler yesterday. That's not going to be the case today as we had the fog and low clouds, I think, through at least mid-morning. Temperatures slowly rising. By noon, I think it's still mostly cloudy, mid to upper 70s inland, 60s and 70s at the beaches. And with some sunshine mid-afternoon, I think inland areas do warm into the low to maybe mid-80s. That might be pushing it. And then cooler for the coast and maybe more fog rolling in as we go through the morning hours. So your ferry ride up to Cape May will be a foggy one this morning, but it should be pretty smooth with pretty light winds. And then the fog will lift later this morning, maybe some sunshine this afternoon, and temperatures into the mid-70s.
Well, hopefully we see some sun, Bob. But let's check out the situation right now that we've been talking about. You can see the situation with fog. This is live in Lewis, along the canal. Just a gray, damp, dreary day, and that's what you'll have to factor in as you get ready for your morning drive. Our top story this hour, we have chaos in Los Angeles as violent protests over the arrests of illegal migrants continued. A number of people involved in the protest waving Mexican flags and flags of other Latin American countries. President Donald Trump deployed 2,000 National Guardsmen to the area to help control the situation.
And Jen Sullivan shows us reactions from both law enforcement and community members.
The National Guard pushing back crowds in Los Angeles Sunday as protests over recent immigration raids stretch into a third day. Federal officers using pepper spray to disperse crowds. Crowds begin protesting Friday after dozens of people were arrested by federal immigration agents as the Trump administration cracks down on unauthorized immigration. The latest raids instilling fear and anger in many Southern California communities.
Our community is living in a state of terror.
Why are they being treated like second-class citizens? That's the anger the community feels right now.
Saturday, crowds taking over streets, shutting down traffic. This car set on fire in Paramount, about 20 minutes south of LA, where authorities tried to control the crowds. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department releasing an advisory Saturday, saying in part, protesters became increasingly agitated, throwing objects and exhibiting violent behavior toward federal agents and deputy sheriffs. The White House deploying 2,000 National Guardsmen to help local authorities in Los Angeles.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Some leaders, though, think it's a drastic response.
This is really just an escalation of the president coming into California. We haven't asked for the help. We don't need the help.
California has the highest unauthorized immigrant population in the country, according to data from the Pew Research Center, with roughly 1.8 million in 2022. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And President Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom spoke on the phone Friday to discuss the situation, according to Newsom's office. This was before Trump ordered the National Guard to assist. And last night on X, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer posted, President Trump's move to deploy California's National Guard is an alarming abuse of power.
And here's a reaction from Congressman Andy Harris, who represents Maryland's Eastern Shore. When California state leaders refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement agents, they're not defending peace, they're defending disorder. New this morning, Rehoboth Beach commissioners are debating giving a pay increase for City Manager Taylor Tedder. Now, you may remember Tedder was already offered a salary of $250,000 when he began working for the city in 2024. At the end of May, a lawsuit by a group of homeowners arguing that the hiring process violated the city charter is moving forward after a Chancery Court ruled they have a viable claim.
Tedder is also presenting an update on goals that he is responsible for. These include ensuring the city adheres to state and federal regulations, preparing a citywide stormwater management plan, and putting in place a process to identify sidewalk maintenance needs and how to address those issues.
Public hearing taking place tonight in Lewis on regulations for operating a business out of your home. Some of the recommendations include limiting the workspace to 10% or 300 square feet of any floor of the home or separate building on the property. Parking must be consistent with the neighborhood. The customers, clients, or patients are by appointment only.
New this morning, Berlin officials are attempting to finalize contracts for key areas in the town. Tonight, the town council is expected to vote on a deal for fire and EMS service, along with the contract of town administrator Mary Bolin and an agreement with Park Mobile. This is at the mayor and town council meeting scheduled for tonight at 6 o'clock.
And tonight in Milford, the city council expecting to approve the date for people to appeal the recent assessment of their property. The date they're looking at is July 28th. Milford Council says copies of the assessment are available online and at City Hall. Appeal applications to the Customer Service Department must be in by 4:30 p.m. on Monday, July 11th.
We have an update on a deadly crash that happened on Friday in Milton. According to Delaware State Police, Mary O'Byer, the 74-year-old woman victim, died in that crash. DSP says a Ford Bronco passed a stop sign and into the path of Sussex County EMS Suburban, which had lights and sirens on. The Bronco was hit on its passenger side and spun into a tree. O'Byer was taken to a hospital where she died. The paramedics driving the SUV were brought to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
New overnight, the Indian River Volunteer Fire Company responded to reports of a boat sinking and leaking fuel. And we have some pictures of this. This is what they saw when they arrived. A boat lodged under the dock with the bow sticking upwards. This was just before 6:30 Sunday night at the Gull Point Marina. Fuel containers were taken to land. No reports of any injuries.
We're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Now, coming up, Harvest helps homeless. How one woman's hobby is now being used to aid those in need.
Also, storm surge, the possible tornado in Oklahoma, and the damage it brought to buildings and roads.
And card confusion, how Costco memberships are creating havoc at some airports. Coast TV News today is back after this.
6:11 on this foggy Monday morning. Gutter helmet cam showing the flags moving a little bit in the breeze, but we are socked in Ocean View with the fog. That visibility is less than a mile in a lot of places, a quarter of a mile in fog in Ocean City, 3/4 of a mile for Georgetown and Salisbury. A little bit better for the Eastern Shore, but everybody pretty much seeing the fog right now, and temperatures in the mid-60s, and it's very muggy with a light easterly breeze at the present time. The showers and storms we had earlier are now gone, and they've been moving up into the Philly area in New Jersey. Otherwise, a slow drying out process. Could see a little drizzle with the fog as we go through the morning hours. We've got wet roads, and with the fog, I gave it the red light this morning for the DriveCast, so really take it slow. Delay travel if you can by a couple of hours. And then better as we go into the afternoon and evening, better visibility, warm and muggy conditions, and the green light from 4 to 6 p.m.
Thank you, Bob. A heads up for drivers in Salisbury today with the start of a road project. The city says it's for a striping project and crews will begin on Church Street and Vine Street. Work will run from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's expected to wrap up in just one day. The city says the street will stay open while work is underway.
In Worcester County, the closure of north and southbound lanes that began at midnight on Route 113 is supposed to have reopened about an hour ago. This is in the area of Bishopville Road and Kepler Lane to allow for the movement of an oversized natural gas tanks. The upcoming closures are for Wednesday, June 11th, Friday, June 13th, Monday the 16th, and Wednesday the 18th. Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration officials say they expect the roadway to reopen by 5 o'clock each morning.
New data suggests there's a link between lying and credit card debt. A new survey from the online marketing firm LendingTree found that about 4 out of 10 consumers with credit card debt have lied about it. The survey found that rose about half of those who earned more than $100,000 a year and are in credit card debt have lied about it. The average credit card interest rate is right around a staggering 21.4%.
Summertime travel ramping up, and TSA wants you to know, while Costco cards may be good for getting hot dogs, you just can't use them as a form of identification. The Transportation Security Administration reminding flyers this week that despite rumors on social media, Costco and other membership club cards don't count for screening. TSA says trying to use club cards for ID could actually lead to delays and travel headaches.
Coming up, high wind havoc, the devastating scenes in Oklahoma after a possible tornado ripped through parts of that state.
It's fog that we're concerned about in Delmarva this morning. You're seeing it socked in on the tunnel and razor cam right now. Morning fog, otherwise a muggy Monday for the region. Then more showers and storms Tuesday with the cold front, followed by warm to hot conditions the rest of the week. I'll have your full forecast details in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is 6:16. Fog is the story this Monday morning. You're looking live at some of that in Lewis at the Roosevelt Inlet, and school delays on the Eastern Shore. Got a couple of those, Bob. Slow driving recommended everywhere.
Yeah, I think so, Matt. We've got the fog. We've got the wet roads, too, from last night's showers and storms. So if you can delay travel by a couple of hours, I would do so because this fog is pretty thick, as we just saw on the cameras. A quarter of a mile in Ocean City and Georgetown, 3/4 of a mile in Salisbury, Dover 2.5 miles right now, and the Eastern Shore where we do have some school delays, 3 miles in Cambridge and 1.25 miles in Easton. So this fog is thick. It's widespread too. So once again, if you can delay travel, I would probably try to do that through the morning hours. 66 in Laurel, Georgetown, and Millsboro right now. In fact, under that fog deck, we have pretty uniform temperatures around 64 to 66 degrees. And obviously it's very muggy and mild out there. A bit of an easterly flow right now. We had this easterly wind yesterday. That kept us a little cooler, but that's not going to be the case today as the winds do shift. You can see on our radar replay as we had those showers and storms earlier moving through Sussex County with some heavy rain and vivid lightning. Those are long gone now, and I think we will slowly start to dry things out. But once again, dense fog this morning. We had some showers and storms earlier around Smyrna and Dover. Now some of those showers moving into the Philly area. Otherwise, we have weak low pressure that's moving through right now. This is going to kind of fizzle out as it heads over the top of us, so we're not looking at anything really with this system. However, farther to the north and the west, we have a series of cold fronts moving through the Ohio Valley and the upper Midwest, and these will be sliding through as we go through tomorrow, increasing our chances for showers and storms. Now, we're looking at a low chance of rain for today, but look how our graph goes up as we go into Tuesday morning into the scattered range and then probable as we go into the afternoon, and then decreasing as we go into Tuesday evening. So let's track it on Futurecast this morning. It's foggy, as you can see, and cloudy as well, with temperatures in the 60s. Could see some breaks in the fog mid-morning, and then still kind of mostly cloudy. Maybe some of that fog hanging on in some places around the noon hour, and temperatures rising through the 70s, maybe around 80 in Berlin, 60s and 70s at the coast. By this afternoon, that should burn off the low clouds and fog to sunshine and muggy conditions, 70s and maybe some 80s from Seaford back to Salisbury. A little cooler at the coast. We could be seeing that fog rolling back back in as we go through the morning, I should say the evening and then overnight hours. And then by Tuesday morning, we could be seeing showers and maybe a few thunderstorms as soon as 5:30 in the morning. And some of those showers in the morning could contain heavy rain and maybe some gusty winds. And then I think in the afternoon and evening, another round of showers and storms building in. And some of those could be marginally severe and then drying out after that. So we do have a marginal chance, a low chance of seeing severe weather tomorrow. I think the main threat would be damaging winds. And then we start to see things warming up as we go through the midweek to the latter part of the week with mid to upper 80s, maybe our first 90-degree reading by the end of the week. And we're muggy to humid as we go through Tuesday. It dries out a little bit Wednesday, but then humid to very humid again by the end of the week into the weekend. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, 80 today, morning fog, some afternoon sun, showers and storms Tuesday. Some of those could be a little feisty. 81, 84 sunshine Wednesday, upper 80s, 88 Thursday, upper 80s Friday, and then some showers and storms Saturday. 81, a wet start to the weekend, hopefully drying it out for Dad on Father's Day Sunday, mostly cloudy and a high of 76.
Severe weather, including a possible tornado in Oklahoma, left buildings damaged and a few major roads closed. This is Highway 20, which is about 20 miles north of Tulsa. The stretch of highway was swamped by heavy rain, as you can see. The big storm in the northeastern part of the state left thousands without power and damaged buildings in nearby cities of McAllister and Wilburton.
Later this morning in Milton, Delaware District 6, State Senator Russ Huxtable's holding what he is referring to as a constituent conversation. According to the senator's office, Huxtable will provide legislative updates along with taking questions from those he represents. Now, Huxtable's Senate district includes area in House District 20, which has not had representation this entire year in Legislative Hall due to the controversial absence of Rep. Del Parker Selby. This morning's event is at 9 at the Milton Library.
Coming up, Homegrown Help, the story of how one woman's garden passion is now a benefit for the homeless. Coast TV News Today returns in a moment. Tonight in Salisbury, the City Council is taking up a couple of ordinances. One involves money for water main infrastructure for future growth in the Nair, Mill Road, and Jersey Road areas. Also, the Council will decide to accept money from the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention to buy camera equipment. Tonight's workshop session is at 7 o'clock.
A Milton woman's childhood hobby now being used to help the homeless. Terry Morrison has gardens in her backyard, still planting more, and she says everything will go to the Shepherd's office in Georgetown.
I grew up with a financially disadvantaged family, and my grandpa taught me how to garden. So what we want to do here is to provide for people that maybe right now they can't provide for themselves.
And Morrison says she already planted tomatoes, blueberries, even catnip, and she plans to plant even more in the weeks ahead.
Another failed beach weekend. Exciting stuff.
I know. Well, no. The waves were actually pretty good at Cape Henlopen State Park, despite the weather. I saw plenty of surfers. I rode a couple of waves on the boogie board, so it wasn't a total washout, even though there was a bit of a washout, Bob.
It was. Yeah, it was unsettled, as I like to say, but it wasn't perfect. We are looking at not perfect conditions continuing through the morning hours. Dense marine fog advisory until 2 p.m. this afternoon. This is for the Atlantic waters and inland areas. We also have dense fog, as you saw earlier this morning. Chincoteague and Assateague, we're looking at the fog early on. Otherwise, some sunshine later today. Temperatures in the mid-70s around Chincoteague. Moderate rip current threat, moderate UV index as well. Fenwick Island, mid-70s for you after a foggy start. Lower 70s for Ocean City. Next 3 days on the Bayside, drier today in Cambridge, but storms tomorrow could be severe, and then it dries out on Wednesday, 84. And then maybe a few showers today in Crisfield, more storms on Tuesday, and then drying out Wednesday as it gets warm to hot by the end of the week. So a changeable work week on the way weather-wise. Much more on your forecast coming up in the next half hour.
Coming up, multilingual learning, how Millsboro students shared what they've learned in class in 2 languages.
Also, property tax review, the rate for the new fiscal year expected for approval in Rehoboth Beach.
And out of control in California, the chaotic situation fueled by protests over the arrest of illegal migrants. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
Now on Coast TV News.
A mild and muggy Monday for Delmarva, then the showers and storms return on Tuesday, followed by warmth and hot conditions by the end of the week. I'll track the storms and heat coming up next.
Chaos in California. With the National Guard deployed after violent protests against illegal migrant arrest, we have reaction from here on Delmarva.
Salary saga. Rehoboth Beach commissioners consider a pay increase for its city manager after months of controversy on his salary.
Waterside wreck. What had responders concerned when they arrived at this scene last night in Millsboro?
This is Coast TV News Today.
June 9th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we're about to hit 6:29 on this Monday morning. Got lots and lots of fog to talk about.
Yes, need to be careful as you're driving to work. If you're walking to the school bus for probably one of the last few times.
A lot of schools wrapping up this week. That's always an exciting time of the year.
That is always an exciting time of the year for both students and teachers. Teachers love their summer breaks. I know I am the daughter of a teacher who loves her summer break. But Bob, the big story this morning is the fog we've been tracking. You need to be careful as you're driving this morning or walking or running, whatever you're doing outside.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we have a 1-2 punch from Mother Nature. We had storms earlier, and now we're talking about some fog, as we talked about. 1/4 mile in fog in Georgetown and Ocean City, 3/4 mile in Salisbury. A little better in Cambridge, 5 miles for you, but 1.25 miles in Easton. And I know we have some school delays on the Eastern Shore, so take it slow this morning and delay travel if you can for the next couple of hours. Now, earlier we had a round of showers and thunderstorms coming through around midnight till about 2 a.m. and then those moved out and then the fog rolled in, and we're going to be seeing that fog for the next few hours as it's just very still right now and not much going on weather-wise. We do have low pressure just to our west. That will slide through and tend to fizzle out as we go through the morning hours. Temperatures out the door, 65 in Red and 66 Dagsboro, Willard 66, Bethany Beach and Indian River Inlet at 65. A light easterly breeze that kept us cool yesterday. I think that's going to kind of conk out and we'll be warming up a little bit today, but dealing with the fog I think through at least mid-morning. Here's 9:30 on Futurecast. Maybe seeing some breaks in the overcast, mostly cloudy by noon, mid to upper 70s inland, cooler 60s and 70s at the coast, and then if those clouds thin out enough, we get enough of that hazy sunshine, maybe around 84 in Salisbury, around 230, 80 in Georgetown, but cooler for the coast, and I think more fog rolling in as we go through the morning hours. So once again, we have some of the school delays out there due to the fog. Otherwise, off to school, wet roads too. So really be extra careful around the school buses, drive extra slow and cautious. 66, and then heading home much better, good visibility, warm and muggy conditions, and a temperature around 78.
Thank you, Bob. And we're going to check those conditions that Bob was just talking about. This is right here on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk. We can see that fog out in the distance there. Not a lot of people on that boardwalk this morning. That is not a surprise. But later today in Rehoboth Beach, city commissioners are looking at a key part of the new budget. And our top story this half hour is the city's property rate for fiscal year 2026. The recommendation is to keep the existing rate of over 7 cents per $100 of assessed value. The city is expecting to receive over $2.5 million in revenue from property taxes. The 2025 fiscal year is the first with this rate. Last year it increased from 6 cents per $100 of value. Rehoboth Beach's new budget goes into effect on July 1st.
Yeah, it's part of a busy day for Rehoboth Beach officials. The commissioners are also debating giving a pay increase for City Manager Taylor Tedder. You may remember he was offered a salary of $250,000 when he began working in the city in 2024. At the end of May, a lawsuit by a group of homeowners arguing that the hiring process violated the city charter. That lawsuit's moving forward after a Chancery Court ruled they have a viable claim.
The violence in Los Angeles over the arrest of illegal migrants continues. Check out some of this damage. This is a car on fire in the downtown area of the city during those anti-ICE protests. National Guard troops arrived in downtown on Sunday after being ordered into the city by President Trump.
Shocking images we're seeing here. You actually have to check out this report that we got from Rob Scott. He was in the middle of that overnight chaos.
Well, the chaos here in downtown Los Angeles continues tonight. I got to say, it doesn't feel like the LA we all know and are familiar with. This feels like some sort of third world conflict zone. I mean, we have fires burning in the middle of intersections. We have police and law enforcement agencies under constant attack by these protesters. They have had rocks hurled through the windscreen. And now they are firing fireworks directly at officers who have backed off a bit, I've got to say. And as the night has worn on, the number of protesters certainly has dwindled, but they are the ones left are the real anarchists, the ones who are intent on causing the most damage, the most mayhem. Donald Trump, as we know, has ordered in 2,000 National Guardsmen, he says, to basically crush these riots. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, warned that sending in those troops would only make things worse, be inflammatory, and that certainly does appear to be the case. And now we are learning that the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, has more than 500 active duty Marines on standby to come in here if necessary. So as the night is wearing on, tensions are not dissipating. Things are only going to get worse, I fear. I'm Rob Scott in downtown Los Angeles. Back to you.
Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown said in a statement Sunday night, responding to the president's deploying of federalized National Guard troops, saying in part, quote, "This is not a good faith effort to preserve law and order. It is a calculated move to intimidate Americans who dare to speak out."
Yeah, here's the reaction from Congressman Andy Harris. He represents Maryland's Eastern Shore. Quote, "When California state leaders refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement agents, they're not defending peace, they're defending disorder."
Tonight in Milford, answering questions of how to pay for the recently approved Deep Branch Park, the City Council could authorize the Outdoor Recreation Parks and Trails program provide money, including a minimum of $125,000 in matching funds. Last month, plans for Deep Branch Park off of South Rehoboth Boulevard include a walking and biking path, a playground, more than 7 acres of open space, a basketball court, pickleball court, and more.
New overnight, the Indian River Volunteer Fire Company responded to reports of a boat seeking and leaking fuel. Here's some pictures of what they found when they arrived. A boat was lodged under the dock with that bow sticking upwards. This is just before 6:30 Sunday night at the Gull Point Marina. The fuel containers were taken to land. No reports of any injuries.
In Cambridge, police are investigating a deadly shooting. Last night, police responded to the 900 block of Camellia Street, where they found a man with a gunshot wound to the head. According to police, life-saving measures were attempted, but the victim was declared dead at the scene. And we are still awaiting an update on the suspect or suspects in this shooting.
In Lewis, city officials say the $8 million fundraising goal to purchase the 4th Street Preserve was reached 3 months ahead of deadline. The 30-acre property, a rare forest in the heart of Lewis, will now be restored into a public nature preserve with trails, new plantings, and wetland areas. City leaders say the next phase will focus on site restoration. Thanks to hundreds of donors, including foundations, the state, and over 1,300 locals. The city will officially acquire the land soon, with plans to make it a model for urban forests across Delaware.
If you live in Del Mar and saw smoke in the air on Sunday, it was most likely from a controlled burn. The Del Mar Fire Department says they did a burn on Stage Road near Route 13 Ocean Highway. According to the department, that area was burning into the overnight hours. The department says they were monitoring that burn. And 6th, 7th, and 8th graders from the Spanish Immersion Program at Millsboro Middle School recently held a social studies fair. Students showcased their projects about geography, civics, economics, and American history.
Yeah, really cool story here. Telemundo Delmarva and CoastTV news reporter Ana Sofia Roman takes us through the fair and shows us what it means to everyone involved.
75 poster boards and 3D physical projects in the auditorium at Millsboro Middle School, all showcasing students' hard work and creativity in both English and Spanish. Some projects were about Mount Everest, the economy of Grotto Pizza, and the 3 branches of the government. Raúl Hernández Barrios, an 8th grader, did his project about the Holocaust.
I was just shocked to know that they have been killing much, especially since they just separated the men, children, women.
These projects that you see on both sides took students about 3 weeks to complete, between the research, making the trifold, and then building the 3D physical project.
They had an amazing time. It was difficult for them. Researching in English and in Spanish is very difficult, just like the school year was. Learning content of social studies in 2 languages is a little bit difficult, but they stepped up and they did an amazing job, as you saw. I'm really proud of them. I really am.
Ending the school year doing a deep dive on social studies. In Millsboro, Ana Sofia Roman, Coast TV News.
More news to get to in this final half hour. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, wild weather in the U.S. from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. We look at the severe systems and the damage they caused.
Also, thunder struck the dominating night by the Western Conference champs that evened the NBA Finals at a game apiece.
And reeling in rewards, a tradition in Salisbury that brings the excitement of fishing to children. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
6:40 on this foggy Friday morning. You can see we're socked in Laurel right now in the Tyndall's Casual Furniture Camp. 66, a mile and a quarter in fog in Easton, a little better in Cambridge, but only a quarter mile for Georgetown and Ocean City, 3/4 of a mile in Salisbury. It's going to take a while for this fog to burn off too, with temperatures into the mid-60s right now. And we had the storms earlier on, but now it's just the fog as we're starting a slow drying process. We have weak low pressure building through, and we're not going to see any really consequences from this low. It's fizzling out, so we're just going to be looking at a quiet day. Today's checklist, I think you need the raincoat. Just looked outside. There is some drizzle falling out of this fog, and umbrella is optional. Use the low beams in the fog. Once again, delay travel if possible by a few hours, and I think you will need the sunscreen and sunglasses later today for some peaks of sun. Congratulations to Gail Dennis from Frankfurt on winning a new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
Over the weekend, Wicomico County's annual Youth Fishing Derby took place. Young anglers ages 15 and under came out to Salisbury City Park to cast their lines in the water. After hooking their catch, each participant had their fish measured by volunteers. Prizes were then awarded for categories including most fish caught, most unusual catch, and the biggest fish.
I've been fishing a couple more times before. We've been here for a little while and I got a couple nibbles, but I haven't caught a fish yet.
It's fun. I actually got called for my number and I got a fishing rod. It had basically a mini tackle box attached to it. It had 2 bobbers, some bait, hooks, more bait, slob bait.
And the Wicomico County Youth Fishing Derby has been a community tradition for more than 50 years.
After their Game 1 win in the NBA Finals, Indiana Pacers, they were giving off that team of destiny vibe. There was a comeback in the second round against the Cavaliers, that high bouncing shot to cap a comeback in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks. Then there was that Game 1 miracle against OKC. OKC was the site of Sunday night's Game 2. We're going to go late first quarter here. Jalen Williams with the drive, gets it to go. He was fouled. Thunder up 30-23. We go late third quarter. Isaiah Hartenstein lobs it to Chet Holmgren, rams it home, making it 91-73. We're going to check this one out again. How about fourth quarter? Alex Caruso, corner 3, he got it. Indiana had no answer Sunday night. OKC, the big win. Series is tied at 2 in Game 3 in Indiana Wednesday night. Let's go to Pittsburgh. Phillies and Pirates, 1-1 tie, bottom of the 8th. Andrew McCutchen, the base hit, brings home O'Neal Cruz. That's a game-winning run. Phillies are swept by the last-place Pirates, and the Phils have now lost 5 in a row. Despite a 3-for-4 day at the plate for Nathaniel Lowe, the Nationals drop a 4-2 game to the former Washington Senators, and now called the Texas Rangers. The Athletics cool off the Orioles, winning the rubber game against the Birds. Shorebirds can only scrape together 3 hits in a 3-1 loss to the Fredericksburg Nationals. It wrapped up a 4-7 road trip. Birds begin a series tomorrow night at Purdue with Salem. Tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, 8 o'clock, it's boys basketball with Waihi and Bennett. 10 o'clock post time, that's followed by the final score. And then here are the exclusives on the DSM Plus app. We got 2 games in the Maryland Supreme Boys Basketball League, and both of those are taking place at 6:15.
And here's what's coming up this afternoon on Coast Life at 4.
We know that Mondays are hard, but Coast Life is always easy and fun to watch. Here's what's coming up today on the show at 4 o'clock. We know that Charlie's off enjoying some R&R time, a little bit of vacation. That's why we've got more guest hosts, including somebody from Custom Fit 360, and we've got some more fitness tips and things to keep you in shape that we're going to dive into. And also, Mondays are always for a little bit of a laugh. That's why we've got our joke jar for you as well. All that fun and more is coming up today at 4 on Coast Life. We'll see you then.
Seeing some mist, some drizzle on the lens in Lewis right now, along with that thick fog, and watch for that this morning. That fog slowly burns off to muggy conditions on our Monday. More showers and storms heading in on Tuesday. Some of those could be strong to possibly severe, followed by warm to hot conditions the rest of the week. Your forecast details in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
6:47, and we are taking a live look outside at Laurel on this very gloomy Monday morning, Bob. We promise you that is Laurel outside. I know that camera is higher up, but
it is.
The big story this morning, you can see it, fog.
The fog is a big story, Lisa, for sure. And that is widespread all across Delmarva. We'll take a look at that visibility in just a moment. But let's talk about the storyline for today. It's muggy, it's foggy this morning. We're looking at temperatures later today and tomorrow in the 70s and 80s. Could be stormy on Tuesday with a cold front. Midweek, we start a warm up. It's going to be drier, lower humidity Wednesday, then mid to upper 80s the rest of the week. Maybe our first 90-degree reading possible later in the week with humidities rising as we go through the week. Here's the visibility. Only a quarter mile in fog in Ocean City and Georgetown, 3/4 of a mile in Salisbury. You can see this fog is widespread. Maryland, Delaware, back through the eastern shore too. In Easton, 1.25 miles in fog, 2.25 miles in Dover. So widespread fog is going to take a while to burn off, and we're seeing some drizzle and mist falling out of that fog right now, with temperatures in the mid-60s, around 64 to 67 all across the area. So uniform temperatures under that fog deck. A light easterly breeze. We had a stronger wind yesterday that kept us a little cooler with the cloud cover, but I think today those winds are going to shift and we will warm up a little bit. Of course, last night around midnight to 2 a.m. we had some storms rolling through, but now we're just looking at the fog and mist across Delmarva. Had some showers earlier around the Middletown and Smyrna area, but now it's low pressure that's moving overhead. It's pretty weak and it's actually going to fizzle out. So we are looking at a quiet day as far as no precipitation, but there are a series of cold fronts back to our west, one across the Ohio Valley and another one across the upper Midwest. Those will be sliding in tomorrow, increasing that threat for showers and storms once again. So a low chance of showers as we go through today, but then that shower chances increase as we go into Tuesday morning into the probable range, maybe some rumbles of thunder, and then another chance as we go into the afternoon and evening hours. And then as a cold front comes through, those rain chances will decrease. Let's walk you through it on Futurecast. This morning, the thick fog delayed travel if you can by a couple of hours. Otherwise, warming through the 70s, and it's going to take a while to get some sunshine, but I think by noon we'll start to see some breaks with upper 70s at that time, some low to mid 80s as we go into the mid-afternoon if we get enough sunshine, around 79 in Millsboro at 3 o'clock, 60s and 70s at the coast. As we go into this evening, still mild and muggy with clouds and maybe some more fog redeveloping through the overnight into Tuesday morning. Then I think we could see one round of showers, maybe some thunderstorms in the morning hours with some heavy rain, and then maybe another round into the afternoon as the cold front slides through. That one could perhaps bring some damaging winds along with the heavy rain, and then things do start to dry out as the cold front moves through tomorrow evening. There is a low chance or a marginal risk of seeing severe weather tomorrow. I think wind damage is the main threat, and then it's a warm up, lower humidity Wednesday, but then muggier by the end of the week with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s and maybe our first 90-degree reading of the year. Once again, it's muggy to humid the next couple of days, comfortable on Wednesday, and then humid to very humid as we go into the end of the week. Welcome to summer-like conditions. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, lower 80s the next couple of days, stormy weather into Tuesday, and then lower humidity Wednesday, 84 with sunshine, 88 on Thursday. That humidity creeping up as we go into the weekend. Looks like showers and storms on Saturday, 81. Hopefully salvaging a Sunday, hopefully a better looking day for Dad on Father's Day, mostly cloudy and 76.
All right, thank you, Bob. Yeah, we've got some big rain here. There's dangerous weather in other parts of the U.S.
NBC's Ryan Chandler shows us across the south and the east, yet what could be another round of deadly and destructive storms.
Tonight, a severe storm system churning out at least one tornado at the Oklahoma-Texas border, with huge swaths of the U.S. in the danger zone during a weekend of wild weather.
Oh my gosh!
An astonishing supercell in New Mexico turning the sky dark. And this tornado touching down in Missouri, spinning 105-mile-per-hour winds for nearly 5 miles, damaging dozens of buildings and downing trees and power lines. The string of storms turning deadly since yesterday. Georgia's governor says one person died due to severe weather there. Another death confirmed in Mississippi. And in Boston today, an eerie haze as smoke from Canadian wildfires blankets parts of New England. Chief meteorologist Rick Mitchell with our NBC station in Dallas says the worst weather could come to parts of Oklahoma and Texas in the middle of the night, and that could be more dangerous.
It's those people that go to bed at 9:30 and it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, bam, a tree goes through a window, wakes them up. Those are the folks that, I have concern.
And the time is now 6:52, so we are going to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
Yeah, today's coastal pet of the day is back like he never left. Check out Seamus, everybody. Seamus is back from a whopping 8-week vacation. I want to know how he got that. How was that approved by management?
Where did he go? Yes.
Yeah. Well, apparently, we're being told he's taking notes from The Wizard of Oz, as his family says. He told them there's no place like home. Seamus was submitted to us by his family in Lewis.
My dogs love home too. We want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos. I love beach photos too of pets, and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
That's where that QR code is. Scan it, get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
It is 6:55, and it's time for the things you need to know before you go. A public hearing is taking place tonight in Lewis on regulations for operating a business out of your home. Some of the recommendations include limiting the workspace to 10% or 300 square feet of any floor or the home or separate building on that property. The parking must be consistent with the neighborhood, and customers, clients, or patients are by appointment only.
Rehoboth Beach commissioners are debating giving a pay increase for city manager Taylor Tedder today. You may remember Tedder was offered a salary of $250,000 when he began working for the city in 2024. And just a few weeks ago, a lawsuit about the hiring process violating the city charters moving forward after a Chancery Court ruled there was a viable claim to that.
It is now 6:56, so we are going to take another look at your Monday forecast.
Yeah, Bob, we're just trying to get by this foggy start this morning.
We are. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a couple of hours, guys. We have the fog. We have the drizzle as well. Quarter mile in fog in Ocean City and Georgetown, 1.75 miles in Salisbury. So take it slow. Delay travel if you can by a couple of hours, as the fog really won't lift till later this morning. Otherwise, we will see some sunshine this afternoon. Upper 70s, close to 80 inland areas. Paul Davis 10-day forecast could see some feisty storms on Tuesday, 81 degrees, maybe with damaging winds. And then we dry it out Wednesday with sunshine, 84, 88 on Thursday, upper 80s, a little more humidity on Friday. And I'm hoping that we can get a decent weekend, but it doesn't look that way. At least Saturday, showers and storms 81. Hopefully better for Dad on Sunday, 76, and more rain chances into next week, both Monday and then maybe Wednesday with a high of 82.
All right, thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News today.
And the Today Show is coming up next at 7 a.m.
Then we'll be back for Coast TV Midday at 11.
And for more news and coverage you can count on, go ahead, download our Coast TV News and weather apps. Have a great Monday morning, everybody.